face.
Buy to let, thatched, commercial. We're your high street insurance brokers for all types of insurance. Avoid faceless internet firms.
High House Insurance, do it face to face.
See Neil and the friendly team at High Street Selsey.
High House Insurance, do it face to face.
Or call Selsey 606 552.
Hello again, Mary Kennedy welcoming you to this week's programme. This week we have an interview with Gill Jennings, our Town Clerk, who will explain the 3 levels of local government. We welcome back Giles Peer with some gardening tips. Lynn Reeves' recipe is for fish in a bag, and Liz Dunlop has another poem. This week's review by Hugh Graham is of the film 12 Years a Slave, and we have music from The Essentials. Nick Jones interviewed Sam Tate, the town coordinator, who has some news for us. Then he brings us a report on the Selsey Business Partnership's annual dinner. And James Weston's thought for the day brings this week's programme to an end. First of all, here's Beryl Fletcher with what's on this week.
Hello, Beryl Fletcher here, informing of some of the regular events that take place in Selsey. The Oasis swimming pool, based on the Bun Leisure site, remains open, with the main pool opening daily between 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. on most weekly days, but does remain open until 9 p.m. on Tuesdays and 7 until 7 p.m. at the weekends. The leisure pool times are 3 p.m. till 7 p.m. on Mondays and Tuesdays, with the remaining days, including the weekends, from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. Cost is £4 for adults, £3.50 for senior citizens, £3.50 for children, and age 3 and under do go in for free. Contact number for inquiries is 608 446. Adult table tennis classes for the over 50s take place at the Selsey Centre on Mondays between 2:30 to 4:30 p.m. and again on Thursdays at 10 until 12 noon. Cost is £1.50 a session, which does include a cup of tea or coffee. An advanced players session takes place on Tuesdays at 6:30 until 8:30 p.m. There is a waiting list for the sessions, so please contact Rita Green for further details and availability on 604158. A fun way of keeping fit takes place again at the Selsey Centre with Zumba fitness dancing sessions. These take place on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. until 6:45 and again on Fridays at the same time. Please contact Lisa on 0777 560 7409 for cost and any further details that you may like to know. Kickboxing sessions are held in the Selsey Centre for children of age 4 to 6 on Tuesdays from 4:30 until 5 p.m. For those children from ages 7 upwards, a further session takes place at 5 till 6 p.m. A family session takes place on Saturdays between 10:30 and 11:30 a.m. Please note that the first session is free. For any further details you may like, contact Lee on a free phone number 0800 999 5411. Also at the Selsey Centre, the Wednesday workout is a gentle fitness class for men and women who are fit enough to take a dog for a walk but could not cope with a more active class. It is from 9 till 10 a.m. on Wednesdays and costs £4, followed by the Fitter Sitters at 10:15. Is aimed at the less mobile. It is a light-hearted, gentle seated exercise session followed by a cuppa. The Venture Club kindly provide transport for members. This too costs £4 per session. Both classes are structural to improve health and well-being and have a bit of fun. They are always different. For further information, contact Linda on 07958 577 848 or Roz on 601724. For those garden enthusiasts and looking ahead, the Selsey Horticulture Society's first general meeting of the year is scheduled to be held on Friday the 14th of March. Further details will be informed nearer the date. Should you wish to contact, telephone Linda Brown on 601483 for any further information. An informative community forum meeting will be held on Wednesday the 29th of January. The meeting is being held in the Academy School and starts at 4:15 p.m. Delavanti, the Mediterranean restaurant in the village, are holding a flamingo show on Thursday the 30th of January, opening at 7 p.m, with the show commencing at 8:30. The show will consist of dance, song and guitar. Cost is £16.50 per person, which does include a set menu and show. Telephone 603 906 for reservations, which are essential. Thank you. That's all for this week. I will say goodbye.
Thank you, Beryl. And now over to Hugh Graham and Gill Jennings.
We've got Gill Jennings in the studio this morning, and she's the Selsey Town Clerk, and she's going to tell us really basically the difference between a town council and a parish council. When did we become a town council then, Jill?
1995.
Okay. What's the difference between a town council and a parish council?
A town council, when we become officially a town, and the town, it depends on the number of population, and you're now going to ask me what the number of that population is, and I'm afraid I don't know that.
Okay, but can you tell me how many people live in Selsey now?
Yeah, almost 11,000.
Really?
Yes.
And what happens when the summer's in full swing? What happens when the Bun Leisure is full?
I estimated another 15,000 can
Really?
come in when every caravan is occupied.
Okay.
So it's more than doubles.
So what does it tell me what the town council does?
Shall I start really from the beginning to say what the difference between
good
the
idea.
three different tiers of council?
Okay.
Because people do just refer to a council and don't realise that there is a difference. The higher tier is the West Sussex County Council, and they provide services for 750,000 people. So you can see the difference there. And their area stretches from Emsworth to Shoreham, and the northern boundary stretches from Hazelmere to East Grinstead. So a huge, huge expanse.
Right.
And they're responsible for things like the libraries,
Right.
the highways, and again it makes it a little bit difficult because the A27 is actually under Highways Agency, which is a central government department, so it just confuses people a lot of the time.
So they're dealing with the bypass?
But the bypass is Highways Agency,
Okay,
yes.
yeah, fine.
Whereas the county council are all the local roads.
Yeah.
They also look after such things as the social care, social services, children and family support. We've got a children and family centre in East Street here in Selsey.
So would they have been responsible for youth work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they would have done.
Right.
Yes, they provided youth services. Education is
Right.
the other thing they look after. And again, that's slightly confusing now because a lot of our schools, or all our schools in Selsey, in fact, are now academies, which are private businesses. But
Right.
the county council is still overall responsible for the education and in fact owns most of the land still.
So will they have an oversight of the academies?
As far as I'm aware, they have. How
Okay.
much control they have, I'm not 100% sure.
Right.
The other thing that the West Sussex County Council are responsible for is the fire and rescue,
Yeah.
and such things as the registrar service, the death, births and marriages. Now, then the next tier down is the...
Hang on just a minute.
Yeah,
Are they also responsible for high street lighting?
the County Council, yes.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Right.
The Chichester District Council, they provide services for 110,000 people and they cover 300 square miles, and that stretches from Midhurst in the north to Selsey in the south, Westbourne to the west and Bury to the east. So again, a fair old stretch.
Yeah.
Their responsibilities include waste collection,
Yeah.
planning and building control, housing, they have the housing list, licensing, and that's such things as when a premises wants a license to sell alcohol.
Right.
Car parking, they own and run most of the car parks.
So they were the ones who started the car park charges in East Street?
Yes. Yes,
That
that's
was
district council. Yes,
less than successful, was it?
They also coordinate any elections that are run in the area.
Yeah.
And the other thing they do, they collect the council tax on behalf of all the authorities that are allowed to claim a precept. So that's the county council, the parish councils, town councils, and the police. They are the council that actually organises collection of that. So then we come down to our next tier, which is the town council.
Right.
So basically what we do is we're obviously the closest to the people, so we are the eyes and ears of what's going on and can report anything to the next two levels.
How many councillors have we got?
We've got 14 councillors.
And have they all been elected, or are most of them co-opted?
They're elected, most of them are elected non-contested, because basically when we come to an election, we don't get more than 14 people coming forward to be. So they are elected, but don't have to go towards election process. And our town council, we own some properties in Selsey. So that's the Town Hall complex, the Selsey Centre in Manor Road.
Right.
We own the bus garage in Warner's Yard,
Right.
where the community bus is housed, and the toilet block in Warner's Yard.
Do you also run the community bus?
No,
Right.
there is a committee that runs that.
Yeah.
The other things we own and look after and maintain are the parks in Selsey.
Right.
All the parks, so that includes the grass cutting, hedge trimming and that sort of thing. All the play areas. And
Those one down on East Beach and Hillfield Road?
yeah, we look after all those,
Right,
all
okay.
the play areas, and the BMX track, the skate park, the multi-use games area on the oval field, the outdoor gym equipment over on the recreation ground. So all those are our responsibility that we look after and maintain. And so if obviously they need replacing or anything, again, that's down to us.
So that must be quite a budget.
Yes, it is quite. It can be.
Yeah.
I mean, year on year, it varies, because obviously the last one that was replaced was the play area at East Beach. And it's a rolling programme, obviously. Next one we'll be looking to replace will be the one on the oval field. Over a period, only have a time.
And do you get your money from the rates we pay to Chichester Council?
Yes.
So what proportion of the rates that we pay?
At the moment, anybody that's living in a Band D property pays the town council £57.78 a year.
Okay.
So if you think about how much that is.
So what's our total budget for a year then in Selsey? Not exactly, but roughly.
Our total budget, think about that, it's about 400,000 and something.
Okay. So just under £500,000.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And most of our money does come from what's known as that precept, is that household charge. So £57.78 per year, if you think about what we actually have to look after.
Right.
The other services we provide or areas we look after, we've got 2 allotment sites now in Selsey.
Where are they?
One's in Park Road, and that's got 10 plots, and the other one's in Mill Lane, and that's got 26 plots, and they're all taken.
And then you've still got a list?
And we've still got a waiting list.
How many people are waiting?
There is a Selsey Allotment Society, and they coordinate all that. So I think there is probably 20 or so on the list.
Really?
Yeah. Once upon a time, I know there was over 100, but a lot of yes.
Yeah.
The other things we look after, we've actually got 2 bus shelters in Selsey. We've just replaced recently both of those in Church Road and the Kingsway. All the notice boards around the town are ours, and we've got lots of information boards that you've probably noticed as you go around. Again, we look after and maintain those.
So what about the flower baskets?
They're ours as well.
Who plants them?
Well, every year, in fact, we had it at the council meeting last night. We go out to get prices for how much they're going to be to refill them each year, and it's a different organisation, nursery or whatever, depending on the price, basically.
And who waters them?
Our outside operatives do it.
And how often do you water them?
Once a week, because they're these self-watering baskets, they only need to be done once a week, fortunately. Because sometimes it could be quite regularly otherwise. The other thing we look after all the seats on the sea wall.
Okay.
And there's about 80 of those. And although the seawall belongs to and is maintained by the district council, we've been given permission to put these seats on the seawall. Obviously, we have to maintain and look after those.
They're normally donated by widows, aren't they?
They are.
Widowers.
They're commemorative seats,
Yeah.
and if anybody wants a seat, they pay us to get the seat, and we put it on and maintain it in the future.
How much does it cost to put the seat up?
£500.
Really? And how long does the seat last then?
Well, at the moment we're buying recyclable ones, so they last for a long time, which is a problem because we've got about 25 people on the waiting list. Because
so there's even a waiting list now
even a waiting
for
list
commemorative
for that.
seats?
Yeah, because the seats...
Well, don't die yet.
Yeah, because the seats last forever when they're made of recyclable material.
Okay. Can you put commemorative seats in places other than the seawall?
There are places. District Council have seats around East Beach Pond,
Right.
which is maintained by the District Council. So there are places around there. Again, I think they're probably fully allocated at the moment. And there's places, Marine Park, at the bottom by the seawall. Again, they're District Council ones.
All right,
But the spaces are running out, unfortunately.
All right. Well, if you wanted to get hold of a commemorative seat,
Yes.
do you just apply and put yourself on the list?
Yes, you do.
If I wanted to remember my mother who died 4 years ago,
Yes, you would have to come to the town council, give us a ring, and we'd put you on the list.
and you don't pay until you get the...
You don't get till you get the
a
seat.
location.
Yes, and
Nice.
you're given a space there, and we, as I say, we buy the seat and put it on for you.
I know you send out all sorts of things to residents. How could the residents express their view to the council? Just by coming to a council meeting, or is there another way?
Well, yes, anybody can come to the council meeting. They're all public,
Yeah.
and we've obviously got the office down at the Town Hall complex.
Yeah.
We have got a reception area there, and people can come in. And we are now, in the last few years, we took over. We had an agency agreement with the district council, the county council, that we are the one-stop shop for all the councils, that the people can come into us as a reception,
exciting.
so that anybody can come in about any of these things I've mentioned, but we can't necessarily resolve those problems, but we can report them to the right people,
Okay.
or try to follow it through for people.
When are the council meetings, Jill?
They're on a Wednesday night. We
Right.
actually had one last night in the council chamber in the town hall complex.
Every week?
Every 3 weeks,
Right.
because we have to meet as a planning committee every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we have a planning meeting, as I said, every 3 weeks, and then we have a full council meeting 3 or 4 times a year, and also we have an assets and amenities committee.
How could I find out when those meetings are taking place?
Several ways. You can go onto our website,
Yeah.
which is selseystowncouncil.gov.uk, and there's a schedule of all the meetings there. There are also, the schedules are on our town council notice boards around the town.
Okay.
Or literally just give us a ring, and the girls on the desk will tell people.
Jill, that's really interesting. Can we ask you to come in again in about a month's time?
You can indeed. I
Thank
would
you
be
very
happy
much,
to.
Here's Giles with some gardening tips for the week.
Well, we have Giles Peer in the studio again to talk to us about the Selsey Gardens, and he's given us some tips for the week beginning February the 2nd. What have you got to tell us, Giles?
Oh, good afternoon, Hugh. How are you? I hope you're keeping well now, and I must say you're looking very fit and able today,
Yeah.
as am I. February, yes, things are beginning to happen a bit now. Things are moving a little bit, shall we say. The rooks are very, very raucous at the minute and busy in their rookeries, and they're sort of thinking about nests. And when they're making the nest, it's quite interesting because one rook will guard the nest while the other rook goes and gets the twigs. So there can be quite a lot of mini fights, obviously, because the one who's guarding the nest, sometimes some of the other rooks will try and come and take twigs from one nest to the other.
Right.
So it's quite an involved business.
Yeah.
So you've got the guard and the worker,
Yeah.
and in the meantime a hell of a lot of raucous noise going on. So if you hear a lot of raucous noise in the rookery, you'll know why at a minute.
Yeah. Tell me, when you were a kid, how did the farmers control the rooks?
In those days they didn't have a lot of problem with them. They did obviously shoot the odd one, but To be honest, rooks actually were not that. They weren't a great nuisance. I suppose farmers then were pretty brutal. If they were doing a lot of damage on the crops or whatever, they would knock off a few. But
I was raised in a little village called Whitchurch, just outside Aylesbury, and we had a large copse.
Oh yeah.
Which, very tall elms, and the rooks were nesting at the top of the canopy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And the farmers used to, the farmer that I can recall, used to go through at nesting time, and he would pick the nests apparently at random, and put one round of 12-bore cartridges through the bottom of each nest, killing, either breaking the eggs or the fledglings. And he wouldn't slaughter the whole nest, the whole copse. But that was his method of keeping them under control.
It's an interesting idea, yeah. I suppose it was quite a good one at the time, wasn't it, really? Yeah. It was rather than sort of letting rip at all and sundry. Yeah. It was selective, in other words.
It was.
Yeah, no, well, that was a good idea, because, they would have to be kept in check at times, obviously, yeah. This month also, this time of year, we are looking out, or probably have, hopefully, depending on the weather, I've already seen the brilliant first snowdrop of the year, which is what everyone looks forward to it so much. It's there's such lovely little white flowers, and they're showing in when everything's sort of so dark around them, and they're appearing in all the bad weather and the frost, and they're just a picture to see, and it uplifts one. It's just a sign of better things on the way, isn't it?
Yeah, spring on the way.
Spring on the way, exactly. That's right. A little quote here: "If Candlemas Day, which is the 2nd, be fair and bright, winter will have another flight. But if Candlemas Day be clouds and rain, winter is gone and will not come again."
That's nice, isn't it?
So whether whether it will happen or does happen or has happened, I don't know, but presumably one must have done one year. Now going into the garden itself, buddleias and lilac, if they haven't already been done, need a very hard pruning, right down to about a third from the take 2/3 off. In other words, they prune hard, because they, as you obviously know yourself, you've got some here, I think. They grow at a rate of knots, and it's a good idea to actually not, instead of cutting them straight across, to vary the levels a bit, because then it means when they come into flower, you're going to have flowers at all different levels, rather than just at one level. So that's just an interesting little thing when people are pruning, not just prune straight across. The digging the vegetable plot, well, we keep coming back to that bit, but I'd say probably now give it a good bit more manure, a bit more compost, give it a good dig it for probably the last time now.
Hey, tell me, John, are you digging with a fork or digging with a spade?
I'm digging with a spade, and then I'm turning it over after that with a fork.
Okay, right.
I'm mixing in the compost, if you like, with a fork.
But you're single digging, you're not double digging?
No, I'm not double digging this time. We should have already done that.
Yeah.
And then if you do it now, get it done now, it gives it a month or so to settle down before we start doing something in March.
Right.
Also, the other thing is, if people get some what I call certified potato seed now, and start putting them on trays to what we call chit, where the sprouts will form, and place the potatoes on these trays in a nice, cool and light place, and then leave them to chit, ready for when you'll be planting a bit later.
Right, okay.
Last bit this month, put cloches or fleece over some areas of soil in the vegetable plot, to warm it up for early sowings.
So that's before you put the seed in?
Yeah, oh yes, I'm just saying warm up the ground a bit.
Okay.
Before you put for some early sowings, put cloches or fleece or even plastic over some area of the soil to let it warm up, and then you'll get quicker start when you do sow something.
So the seed will germinate quicker?
Oh yeah, or the plants, whatever you happen to be putting in, will get off to a quick start. And also, if you have any old spade or fork handles, don't throw them away. They can come in for very handy as dibbers.
Okay.
So that's one little thing. And the other, finishing out this month, a little fact: the word gazebo comes from the Victorian expression "gaze about," a shelter from where you can see your entire garden.
What a lovely word.
That's the origin of gazebo. Right, so I'll bow out on that for this week.
Well, thanks a lot, Charles. I'll see you next
Go
week.
to the gazebo.
All right, then. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Giles. And after all that gardening, what better than Lynn's fish in a bag recipe?
So we're back in the studio. We've got Lynn Reed from Tuppenny and Rice with us, and she's going to talk us all about chips, aren't we?
No, we're not here. We're not going to do chips today.
Oh, right.
Because
Why?
what goes well with chips? What
That's
have we
what-
dealt with?
Fish.
Fish. So
Okay,
today
hang on. So, but last week we said we were going to do chips.
we did, but this week I've changed my mind, and as a woman does, and we're going to do fish to go with the chips.
Oh, hang on, fine. That's all very well, Lynn. But can we do chips next week?
I promise. I promise we'll have some chips for him next week, ladies.
All right.
He likes his chips. Okay, no, I promise. I just thought to myself, what goes well with chips? Fish. Let's do the fish first. And it's a really simple, easy meal to do for one. A lot of people, when they think of fish and chips, they think of going to the fish shop, buying a lovely fish and chip lot. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. There are healthier and quicker options. And and if you come home from a hard day's work and you're on your own, you don't really want to stand in the chip shop for half an hour.
That's true.
You know, you want something that you can just get on and get prepared. So we're going to talk today about cooking a nice piece of fish in a bag.
In a bag?
In a bag that we're
Or
going
a
to make.
plastic bag.
Well, you can get these special plastic bags now that go in the oven, but we're not talking about that. What we're going to do is make our own bag out of some tin foil.
Oh.
Simply by folding the tin foil in half and folding down the other two open ends and leaving one open end to put your fish in.
Okay.
All right. The good thing about this recipe is that you can actually prepare it all, put it in the fridge, and take it out and cook it at your leisure. So you could prepare it in the morning before you go to work or the evening before, and then seal it all up, and then the next day when you come home from work, chuck it in the oven. It's really good for this.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't advise freezing this dish because you've mucked about with your fish. It's been out of the fridge while you're putting it in the bag. I would advise that you cook it within 24 hours.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
What sort of fish?
Well, we're talking about a nice piece of haddock or something like that, a nice firm bit of fish. It could be anything, but a nice firm bit of haddock works well with this recipe. What we want to do is to put some potatoes in with it, so a couple of good sized potatoes. You don't want huge loads of potatoes, but just some nice potatoes. And we're going to parboil those. So the first thing we're going to do is put them on to boil for about 6 minutes.
Okay.
All right. You want a little bit of fennel. I love fennel in with fish. It tastes absolutely beautiful. You trim it up and cut it into wedges, and a little bit of lemon, obviously, finely sliced, lovely bit of lemon. Some cherry tomatoes in halves, they can go in there. A little drizzle of olive oil over the fish. Maybe some pitted black olives.
Right.
Half them if you like. You could use halibut or salmon or anything like that for this. Actually, it would be wonderful, wouldn't it? But the fish that you're doing, you need it to be skinned and pin-boned, all right? So ask the fishmonger about that. He'll tell you.
What's pin-boning?
Just boned. You don't want all those little bones. So you know when you do a bit of mackerel and you get all the side bones. Yeah, so ask the fishmonger if you're not prepared to do that yourself. For a nice firm bit of fish. So a little bit of sea salt, some freshly ground black pepper, and a splash of white wine for me. All right?
Okay.
So have we got that?
I'm beginning to drool at the thought of this.
Oh, it is beautiful. Cut the potatoes into quarters.
Yeah.
All right.
Or could you slice them?
You could slice them. I mean, however you want to do them. It doesn't
Yeah,
really
right.
matter, does it? I suppose. Place the fennel, lemon slices, cherry tomatoes, or olive oil, and the fish in a large bowl.
How much olive oil?
Just a drizzle. I just drizzle things.
Okay,
I can't give you the amount for that because it's just like a little drizzle, isn't it? Season it and gently combine it all together. All right. Drain the potatoes, add them to your bowl. Mix everything together. Scoop into the foil bag. Sprinkle on the fennel. All right. Seal the remaining edge loosely, and write the cooking instructions on it with a marker, which I'll give you in a moment. Now, you could pop that bag in the fridge and it could stay there for a day.
Yeah.
A whole day if you wanted to. You could do it one evening and come home the next night and say, I'm going to chuck that in. Now you're going to cook that when you do come in from work. You simply place it on a little baking tray as it is and cook it in the oven on a slow heat, possibly about 125.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Really slow heat, and just let it cook while you're having your bath.
Yeah.
Yeah, or your shower. When you come out the shower, simply release all those lovely aromas and you've got this. It's beautiful. It just cooks wonderfully.
How long should you cook it for?
It's about three-quarters of an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't time it either because I go and have a leisurely little soak and then I come out and it's all done and you can smell it. But as you release the bag, you know, you can smell those aromas and it's beautiful.
Really?
Yeah, Really beautiful.
So what do you drink with it?
White wine.
Okay.
He's smiling at me, everybody.
So
A nice glass of white wine.
A glass or two of white wine.
Just one or two, yeah. Nice Chardonnay.
Yeah.
That's lovely, yeah. It's a really good meal, and it's a lovely way of ending the evening.
Okay. What size piece of fish do you put in there? Well, you could do this for 2 people, couldn't you? Or
You could do it for 2 people, or you could just make single packets for each person that you've got coming. That's a good. So just the size of fish that you would want to eat on your plate. Really doesn't matter, does it?
No, it
if you
doesn't.
want a whacking great big piece of fish, put it in there, but adjust your potatoes and your tomatoes and your seasoning.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's all done to taste. And the ingredients that I've given you don't have to keep them to that, do you? You could put all sorts of things in there.
Yeah.
A bit like your omelette.
That's true.
Experiment. Chuck loads of things in, loads of spices, see what happens. It's fun.
Okay. All right. Anyway, thanks a lot, Lynn.
You're very welcome.
I want to remind you that you promised me we're going to do chips next week.
I got a feeling I'll have my chips if I don't.
All right. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye bye now.
Bye bye.
That sounded good. Now another poem from Liz.
Well, Liz, thank you for coming in to Selsey Internet Radio again and talking to me. But you're looking a bit sad this time. What's up?
Well, I've got a poem to read that I wrote when I was very sad. Everybody's lost someone in their lives at some point of time. This is just a poem really that people may appreciate. Perhaps that's how they felt as well. It's just I put it onto paper. A melancholy state of mind. Ain't that what people say? When one has lost the will to live and truly lost their way. Well, welcome melancholy laced with bitter thoughts and doubt. Scream the pain and hurt away, and at the sadness shout. Take pill to dull and pill to cheer, and pill to kill the pain. A tonic masked with cyanide, a drowning in the rain. Give healing time and healing hope, though all who give are liars, laughing at the state of play whilst lighting acid fires. A melancholy state of mind, or simply in a state. Take care to think before one speaks, or one may meet their fate.
That was really quite sad.
Quite sad.
Did it make you feel better writing it though?
It helps to take pain and anger away when you write things down. I found that a long time ago. I don't often feel angry or sad, I would like to add these days. But when I do try to turn it into something that will remind me how I did once feel, and then you appreciate today all the more.
So when you're really angry with a friend or with a relative, do you write them a letter?
I've often written them a letter.
Did you? And do you ever send it?
Regrettably, on occasion I have sent the letter. However, I suppose in the later years I have remembered to fold the letter away and reread it in the morning, and maybe just keep it as a little tonic to get over your anger. Don't write in haste, because it's very hard to take it back.
I don't think that's true.
Do you not?
I think you should write in haste.
Yeah.
But I do think you shouldn't send it out for 7 days.
Yeah.
Because
Take time to it.
the chances are you won't send it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, most letters that I have written, I haven't sent.
The ones that I've sent have always got me into a great deal of trouble.
Likewise.
Yeah,
A few less on the Christmas card list in my case.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Liz.
You're welcome.
We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Liz. Hugh has been to see 12 Years a Slave, and here's his review.
12 Years a Slave is not an easy film to watch, and nor should it be. It's pitched pretty near perfectly in terms of sheer cinema craftsmanship. It's an important story, told with passion, conviction and grace. See it if you can, but if for some reason you miss it, don't miss the DVD. Steve McQueen may be on the verge of becoming the first black filmmaker, British as it turns out, to win an Oscar for Best Direction, which lends enough historical precedence for this masterpiece to merit your attention. Much more importantly is the opportunity 12 Years a Slave presents for audiences to experience cinema as a medium for its highest purposes, to elevate and educate, by presenting them with an event that is gut-wrenchingly real. McQueen's film is based on the 19th century memoir of Solomon Northup, which tells the tale of the trials and tribulations of an educated black carpenter, musician and family man from New York State, who, in 1841, was kidnapped and sold into slavery in the South, a shockingly common phenomenon. Stripped of his past, his identity, and even in the eyes of the law, his humanity, the renamed Platt becomes the property of plantation owner Ford, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, whose comparatively benign and sympathetic demeanour belies his slaver status. Platt is sold down the river to Epps, played by Michael Fassbender, a broiling cauldron of psychotic rage, whose desire for slave girl Patsy, played by Lupita Nyong'o, appears to be pushing him even further into an abyss of uncontrollable cruelty. The stench of hanging and flogging that drifts in the steamy Louisiana air makes watching 12 Years a Slave occasionally unbearable. I had to close my eyes and look away more than once. In one sequence, Northup has been rescued from summary execution by incurring the ire of sadistic farmhand Tibietz, played by Paul Dano, and is hung by his neck on tiptoe from a tree, whilst life on the plantation ambles on around him in a surreal intensity. Solomon is a musician, and it's his accomplished violin playing that ironically facilitates his capture and later leads him into the slavers' homes, where he must sing for his supper while weathering violent domestic abuse. McQueen does not spare white women in this film, and the ease with which plantation wives watch cruel floggings impassively illuminates what African Americans had to endure in the Deep South, even after the Second World War. The key to Solomon's survival is the suppression of his rage. He must feign illiteracy and subservience to survive. And it's admirable that for all the anger and shame the film stirs up about recent history, McQueen has resisted the temptation to bias the film in favour of the slaves. His film is exceptionally even-handed and controlled in his treatment of all the key players, black and white alike. Fassbender has said that his way into Epps' heart of darkness was to understand that he loves Patsy, the young woman whose body and soul he torments with fearsome self-loathing. In this key role, newcomer Lupita Nyong'o is a revelation, quite the most bold debut by an actress in recent memory. Her performance is fiery, fragile and fiercely proud. Chiwetel Ejiofor, initially hesitant about accepting the role of Northup, is nothing short of magnificent. Here, in a role that requires precise wordless expression, McQueen's camera lingers long and often upon the face that becomes his clearest storytelling tool. Ejiofor proves himself a master of physical understatement. The clench of his teeth and the slightest parting of the lips revealing all the torment to which he's being subjected. This is a must-see film.
I'm looking forward to seeing that one. The Essentials piece this week is If Music Be the Food of Love.
What we need is some fat bass to get things moving. What we need is a backbeat to keep things grooving. What we need is a catalyst to get things started. What we need is a cure for the broken hearted. People come and people go, it's any way the wind blows. Music be the food of love you're gonna play on. Play on, play on, play on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All we need is a key to get things going. All we need is a melody to keep things growing. What we need is some company so we can sing and Music be the fruit of love you're gonna play on. Play on, play on, play on, yeah, yeah, for those who are jumping, what we need is a lifeline. For those who are struggling, what we need is some medicine to ease the pain. What we need is a little love again and again. People come and people go, standing way in the windows. Music is the full of love. Play on, play on.
Now over to Nick Jones, who interviewed Sam Tate and reports on the Selsey Business Partnership's annual dinner.
Hello, this is Nick Jones from the Selsey Internet Radio. I'm with Sam Tate, our Selsey Town Coordinator, and she has got under her sleeve a new scheme which is called Selsey Works, which is starting on the 31st of January. Now I'm going to hand over to Sam now, and she's going to tell you all about it.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, very exciting project. It's going to be located in the High Street, just in front of the Town Hall at the shop in number 53. And it's really designed to bring together all in one place many of the issues that as a community we've been told cause you problems and ways to try and address those issues. So what we're going to have is the downstairs space, which used to be the old tourist information centre, is going to be turned into a pop-up shop, and that's going to give low-cost start-up space to small businesses who want to try their ideas. We know how horrifically expensive it is to take on shop leases and how horribly expensive business rates are at the moment. So this is really about giving people the chance to dip their toe in the waters and see if it's actually worth them making those commitments, if they've got a viable business there and their ideas or not. So there'll be low cost space to rent. We're looking at probably about £60 a week, including all of the bills and everything, for people to take space in the shop, and also people who don't want to commit to actually sort of like putting that much stock in, people that have got lower volumes and things, come and talk to us and we can talk about how we can sell stuff and just take commission and to cover the costs that way. But we really want to provide a space for all of those really creative businesses that we know we've got in Selsey, those people making, you know, clothes, making artwork, crafting, all of those kind of things, and we know there's a lot of them, and just to give an outlet where people can actually sell those products at a reasonable price and in a way that actually allows them to make some money from it. So that's kind of one pillar of it. Backing up that pop-up shop, there is a website as well which will have an online shop, because again, if you're setting up on your own, to invest in a website is horrifically expensive, and we understand that. So there will be an online shop where you can sell your products through the Selsey Works shop, and it will be a very nice website. And again, there'll just be a small commission payable on the sales that go through the shop, but basically it's about supporting those businesses to take that first step, which we know requires investment, which people just don't have when times are tight. So that's one pillar of it. Then we're taking the whole building. The upstairs of the building is going to be working for businesses in the front office. We've got 6 hot desks which will be available for people to rent. You could take them weekly, monthly, or even daily. We've got a lot of freelancers and home workers in Selsey, and freelancing is great and working from home is great, but actually it also gets quite lonely and you really do miss out on those business connections. So this is a way of trying to give people the best of both worlds. You can plug into the sort of business network, make contacts, bounce ideas off of like-minded people. But again, it's about doing it in a way that makes it affordable. So you can come in, you can take advantage of the fibre speed broadband that we'll have in there, and for as little as £15 a day if you're just coming in for a day at a time, and equally if you want to take desks for longer periods, sort of a month, 2 months, 3 months, then the cost will come down even further. We've got a meeting room again which will be available to hire by the half day or day, so if you need somewhere smart to take clients and you don't really want to have them coming around to your house, then the meeting room will be available. Again, fully fitted out, fast internet access, projectors, TV screens and things for doing presentations, so video conferencing if you need it. So again, just giving those resources really to support our local businesses. In the upstairs office space as well, we will be providing business support in terms of economic development. Officers will be there. We'll be doing business admin support, so if you need letters typed, things mailed out, help with your bookkeeping, all that kind of stuff, we'll be there to help you with that at very affordable rates, because this really is, and it's a key thing to say actually, that this is not a business that's being run to make a profit. It's a business that's just being run to benefit our community. So as long as we can cover the costs of the building, that's all we're looking to do, which means that we can keep our rates for many of our services really, really low, because it is about trying to help people get started and get going.
Have you managed to get grants for this?
We have. We've been very lucky. We've had quite a lot of funding. The District Council have given us about £5,000. Selsey Town Council put in £15,000, which came from our New Homes Bonus Fund. West Sussex County Council have put in about £25,000, and the Department of Work and Pensions, who clearly see this as being a very valuable project, have given us £50,000. So we've got nearly £100,000 worth of funding. We've got about another £10,000 that we're expecting to come in as well. So we'll have just over £100,000 worth of funding, which is brilliant, which means that it gives us plenty of time to set this up, get it going right and run it, and get it making enough money that it keeps going. We've had too many services in the past that have been great whilst they've been running in Selsey, but then the funding has dried up and they've withered and died, and that's the one thing we really are determined not to allow to happen again, which is why Selsey Works is looking to be run much more as a social enterprise, as a business, so that we are in charge of our own destiny, basically, so that we're earning our own income and keeping the services that we want here. What
about the ordinary family in Selsey? What can you do anything for them? Can you help them in any way?
Absolutely, and that's the whole point about this. It really is designed to be for the whole community. So for people, there will be support for people that are out of work who are looking to get back into work. We have a dedicated officer who will be working there specifically with unemployed people from Selsey, taking the time to really work with them, get them the training they need, get them the work experience they need, and hopefully move them into sustainable jobs. For people who want to retrain, who are looking at maybe upskilling, we've got a number of training providers that we're working with, including Chichester College and Phoenix Training, who are a large local company, who will be delivering courses in Selsey for us. So things like basic level MVQs, higher level MVQs and things like that will suddenly be accessible in Selsey, which they haven't been for a very long time. So that should be great, and we are working with local businesses at the moment to develop exactly the programs they need for their staff, so that they can get what they need as well, and get local people doing local jobs. The job centre will be sending staff down so that we can do job centre services, things like job searching, CV building. There'll be a local jobs board again, so hopefully it will become the place to go if you're looking for work in Selsey. And then for families and the wider community, we will have regular days when we have housing and benefits officers there. We're working with the West Sussex Credit Union at the moment to try and get them down and have some sort of financial planning and advice sessions. The health and wellbeing team from the district council are going to come down regularly, so we'll be able to help with that. And hopefully we'll be doing some good old-fashioned fun things as well. There should be some courses on there where you can just learn sort of some crafting skills, brush up on your creative writing, learn photography, that kind of stuff. It really is hoped that it is going to be somewhere where everybody in the community comes and finds something for them to prove this.
One thing I was thinking of, we seem to have a number of immigrants in Selsey who come to work. They want to learn English better. Is there going to be any opportunities for them?
Absolutely, that's one of the courses we're looking at trying to get run very early, and hopefully then will become a recurring course which will be just English for speakers of foreign languages. We're aware that that's an issue here, so that's one of the courses that we'll be hopefully getting up and running very quickly.
That's excellent, excellent. But thank you very much indeed, Sam. Now, all this kicks off on the 31st of September, 31st of January.
31st of January is our official opening, so please come in and see us, come in and see what's in the shop, come in and talk to us, come in and use the services, and hopefully it'll be great for the whole town.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Sam. Hello, this is Nick Jones, Selsey Internet Radio. Last week I attended the Selsey Business Partnership Awards Dinner and Awards Night. It was a glittering evening attended by over 130 local business people, and they were all in eager anticipation of the announcement of the winners of the Selsey Business Awards. The awards were very competitive this year, with nearly double the number of nominations. Over 600 were received for 70 local businesses. The awards were as follows. The Selsey Business Partnership Special Award went to Les Hilton of XL Graphics for all the work he'd done in the past. Best Retailer, Campbell's Family Butcher, sponsored by Selsey Town Team. The new Best Business was Liquid Merchant, sponsored by Evans Weir. Best Trade, Flawless Finish, sponsored by The Seal. Best Small Business, Med Cars, sponsored by Evans Weir. The Best Restaurant went, as last year, to Vianetto de Levante, sponsored by XL Graphics. The next award was Best Accommodation. This went to St Andrew's Lodge, sponsored by Holland's Funeral Directors. The Young Employer of the Year was eagerly anticipated, and it went to Jackson Clark of Seals Butchers, sponsored by Nature's Way. The Best Voluntary Group went to the Royal Naval Association for all the work they do around Selsey. That was sponsored by Veritas. And Volunteer of the Year went to Mike Nichols. That was sponsored by Selsey Town Council. Finally, the winner of the Best award went to the business that has only been open for a few months, the Liquid Merchant and Coffee Republic. Overall, best of the best. Well done to everybody, and a wonderful evening was had by all, and dancing went on till the early hours. Goodbye.
Thank you, Nick. Before our thought for the day, a quick look ahead to next week's programme. As well as our regular features, Martin Rudwick, the lifeboat coxswain, will tell us about the future of the lifeboat station, the new lifeboat which will be on station next year, and the new method of getting the boat into the water. He will also explain that the slipway will be dismantled because the RNLI has to leave the seabed as it was originally. There's no chance the station can be preserved for other purposes. Ellis Berg reviews the Just So stories by Rudyard Kipling. Now James Wesson, the Rector of St Peter's, brings this week's programme to an end with his thought for the day. Thank you for listening.
Well, we have James Wesson with us this morning, the Rector of Selsey. Good morning, James.
Good morning to you, and thank you for having me. Whatever form our intercessions or prayers take, there is always a prayer for the world. Nonetheless, too often I suspect, we place our concern for other nations and countries well below people and causes closer to home. In one sense, this is no surprise. After all, we tend to worry most about our families and friends, and, dare I say it, ourselves. And once we have used up our prayerful energy and concentration, we pay mere lip service to matters further afield. Yes, we pray for peace in Afghanistan and the Middle East. We might remember to give poor old Greece a mention without remembering quite why. The current Test series or the European Cup will get flagged up just to be on the safe side. But do we really pray with all our hearts for people and parts of the world we know little or nothing about? We all know that the Church, or the body of Christ, is worldwide. It embraces every nationality, and it is alive and kicking on every inhabited landmass. And of course, unlike before the Jet Age, it is impossible not to be aware of the diversity of humanity. You only have to walk down Selsey High Street, past all those wonderful restaurants such as De Levant, Tapas, and where Aeup performs miracles in the kitchen, the new Magna Tandoori, oozing warmth and heat in every respect, and the Summer Palace, full of oriental flavour. And we shouldn't forget the Greek joys of the Riviera and the Seal, nor the delights of Bangladeshi cuisine at the new Asian Spice. Of course, not all are Christian. There is a plethora of faiths, and the place is all the better for it. But many are, and Selsey High Street is a microcosm of the world. So back to those intercessions. Here is a smattering of prayers for the world taken from common worship. For the peace and stability of all peoples, and for the leaders of the nations. For peace among the nations, that God may rid the world of violence and let peoples grow in justice and harmony. Saviour of the world, be present in all places of suffering, violence and pain. Gracious God, we pray for peace, justice and reconciliation throughout the world. We pray for the honouring of human rights and for the relief of the oppressed. That the nations of the earth may seek after the ways that make for peace. And there are many others. These prayers for the world, along with those for the worldwide church, always precede our more personal prayers for our families, for our communities, for the sick and for the dying. And more often than not, they end with something along the lines of, let us commend the world for which Christ suffered to the mercy and protection of God. Praying, of course, does not need to be formal, and you don't have to be in a church to do it. But it does need to happen, and it is one of life's essentials. We can pray anywhere, on the downs, in the car, or wallowing in the sea. And we should never forget those whom we love and with whom we live, nor the sick and the dying. But we should also pray for those whom we don't know, for those in faraway lands, for those of different faiths. So we should rejoice in multicultural and multi-faith Selsey. The next time you walk down the high street, inhale those glorious aromas emanating from its restaurants and say a prayer for the country each represents. And do not forget your Visa card, for not very much you can enjoy Aeup's magnificent lamb kofti or perhaps Abdul's chicken biryani. And grace, thanking God for those who produced it and prepared it, wouldn't go amiss prior to that first delicious slurp of FS or Cobra. So santé, bon appétit, ciao.
Thank you very much.